Welcome to our deep dive. Today we're looking at Exodus chapter 24,
Oh, yeah, Exodus
a
24.
pretty pivotal moment in the Israelite story.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to be unpacking the establishment of their covenant with God at Mount Sinai.
It's not just another stop on the journey out of Egypt, right?
Right. This covenant, it really sets the stage for their entire future as a people.
And it's told in such a dramatic way.
Oh, absolutely dramatic imagery. We're talking blood rituals.
Yeah.
A glimpse of the divine.
Wow.
Even a mysterious mountaintop meeting.
I mean, it's like a movie.
It really is.
So, okay, let's start with the covenant ceremony.
Yeah, let's do it.
Right from the get-go, you get this sense of awe and reverence. We've got Moses, Aaron, Nadab, Abihu,
Wow.
and 70 elders all summoned to worship,
Yeah.
but they're told to do it afar off.
Far off.
What's with the emphasis on distance?
Well, I think it's a really powerful reminder
Yeah.
of the vast difference between humanity and the divine. You know, this isn't just like, a casual meeting between equals.
Right.
God's holiness and power. They demand a certain level of reverence.
Yeah.
Maybe even fear.
Yeah, I see that. And yet there's this striking moment of unity.
Yeah.
That people respond to God's laws with just this resounding, all the words which the Lord hath said will we do. It's bold.
It is.
Knowing how Exodus plays out, staying true to that commitment
Oh, yeah.
is going to be hard.
Not easy. It makes you think what was going through their minds at that moment.
I know. Did they actually get the weight of what they were promising?
Because keeping a covenant with God, it's about so much more than just following rules.
Totally. And it's interesting how Moses reinforces the commitment visually.
Oh, yeah. How does he do that?
Well, he builds an altar with 12 pillars
Right.
representing the 12 tribes of Israel.
Oh, I see.
It's like this symbol of their unified identity as a people bound to God.
That's a great observation. Thanks.
And then, of course,
To really seal the deal, we've got the sacrifice.
oh, yeah.
Moses sprinkles the blood on the altar
Yeah.
and then on the people.
Whoa.
It's intense. Makes you think about the power of rituals.
Well, blood was considered sacred in so many ancient cultures, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It was seen as the very essence of life.
Wow.
So by sprinkling it on both the altar and the people,
yeah.
Moses is signifying a profound connection, a binding agreement between God and the Israelites.
It's like their lives are being intertwined with the covenant.
Yes, exactly.
Powerful stuff.
Yeah.
The scene is set. The covenant is made. And then things get even more interesting.
Even more, what happens?
A select few actually get to see God.
Whoa.
But the description is so curious.
So curious how?
It focuses on what's under God's feet,
Interesting.
not on God himself.
I see.
It says a paved work of a sapphire stone, and as it were, the body of heaven in his clearness.
Okay.
It's like they're avoiding describing God's actual appearance.
Yeah, there's definitely this sense of mystery and awe being cultivated here. But the details we do get, they're significant.
For example, the sapphire stone.
The sapphire stone.
What does that mean?
Well, in ancient cultures, sapphire was associated with royalty
Oh, wow.
and the heavens.
Okay.
So by putting it under God's feet, the writer is really conveying majesty, transcendence.
It's not just any deity.
No, this is the King of Kings.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then there's that line about God not laying a hand upon the nobles of Israel.
Yeah, what about that?
It's almost like they're being protected from something.
Yeah, it definitely suggests that even seeing a glimpse of God could be overwhelming for a human being,
Right.
even dangerous. But in this case, they're shielded, allowed to witness this incredible sight without being harmed. And then what's even more intriguing,
Yeah, what is that?
afterwards it says they did eat and drink.
Wait, they had a meal
A meal.
after seeing God?
I know, right? It's a fascinating detail.
What kind of experience was this?
It's almost as if they were invited to this divine feast,
Really?
sharing a meal in the presence of the Almighty.
Wow.
It kind of blurs the line between the awe-inspiring
Yeah.
and the strangely familiar.
That's a good way to put it.
It raises a lot of questions about the nature of God and the human experience.
Yeah, it does.
But
Yeah.
we'll have to leave those questions for another time.
Yeah, you're right. We've got to keep moving.
Okay.
The focus shifts now from this collective covenant
Okay.
to something more individual.
Oh,
God calls Moses back up the mountain again.
okay.
But this time it's for a private meeting.
Sounds like things are about to get even more intense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're about to enter phase 2 of this mountaintop drama.
Okay.
And this time, it's not just about witnessing God.
Okay.
It's about receiving the 10 Commandments.
Wow.
The foundation of the Israelite law.
Oh, yeah.
And their relationship with God.
Oh.
We'll have to dive into all of that in the next part of our deep dive.
Looking forward to it.
Okay, so we left off with Moses being called back up the mountain.
Back up the mountain.
Yeah.
For a private meeting with God.
Right. And this time, it's not just about seeing God.
Oh, okay.
It's about receiving something really important.
Yeah. What is it?
This is where he gets the 10 Commandments.
The 10 Commandments.
Right. This set of laws and moral principles that would not only shape the Israelites, but that would also have a huge impact throughout history.
It's true. The 10 Commandments are a big deal.
Yeah. But before he goes up the mountain, Moses leaves instructions.
He does.
He puts Aaron and Hur in charge.
Interesting.
It suggests that like a more structured leadership is starting.
Yeah. Makes sense.
But it's still clear that Moses is the one chosen to talk with God directly.
Right. It does point to this emerging hierarchy within the Israelite community, but it also emphasizes the unique role that Moses plays as the mediator between God and his people.
Right. And then as Moses goes up the mountain this time, the scene is even more dramatic than before.
How so?
A cloud envelops the mountain.
Okay.
And not just any cloud.
What kind of cloud?
It's got a fiery appearance.
Fire.
It stays there for 6 days, shrouding everything in mystery.
6 days.
Yeah, throughout the Bible, fire is often associated with God's presence.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like the burning bush.
The burning bush.
Or the killer of fire that guided them through the desert.
Right, it's a symbol of both power and purification.
Yeah.
And here it creates the sense of awe and separation.
It's like a visual representation of the boundary between the human and the divine.
I like that.
You can't help but feel the weight of what's about to happen.
Absolutely. And then...
on the 7th day.
The 7th day.
God calls to Moses from inside the cloud.
And what happens next?
Moses enters the cloud.
He does.
And remains there for 40 days and 40 nights.
40 days and 40 nights. I mean, you can imagine the anticipation. Oh, definitely.
What's going on in there?
It's like a period of intense preparation.
Right.
A time of testing and transformation.
40 days and 40 nights is a significant amount of time.
It is.
What do you think was going on during that time?
Well, I think it's safe to say it was more than just taking notes.
Right.
This was an experience that would fundamentally change Moses.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. He goes up as a shepherd. A leader.
Right.
But he comes down as something more.
What do you mean?
A prophet, a lawgiver, a man who has seen the face of God.
Yeah. And carries the weight of that encounter.
Exactly.
The text doesn't give us the details of what happened up there.
It doesn't.
But it really stresses how important those 40 days and 40 nights were.
It does.
It's like something was being forged.
Definitely.
Not just the law, but also Moses' identity and his relationship with God.
And that transformation, it's reflected in the 10 Commandments themselves.
Okay, yeah, so.
They're not just a bunch of rules.
Yeah.
They show a deep change in how the Israelites see their relationship with God.
Okay.
With each other.
Yeah.
And with the world around them.
So let's talk about those commandments.
Yeah, let's do it.
We've talked about how important they are historically, but what makes them so unique and enduring?
Well, for one thing, they're pretty concise and clear.
Okay.
10 principles covering a whole lot of human behavior.
Like what?
Well, you've got commandments about worshiping only God,
right,
honoring your parents, respecting life, property, and relationships.
They touch on the core of human existence.
They do. The things that really matter when it comes to building a fair and harmonious society.
And that's why they've had such a lasting impact.
It's true.
Across cultures and religions. Even today, so many of our laws and moral values are based on the 10 Commandments.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
To think that this one event, this meeting on a mountaintop, had such a huge impact on human history.
It really does speak to the power of stories, of shared beliefs.
Right.
And that humans search for meaning and connection with something bigger than ourselves.
And it all goes back to choice, doesn't it?
Choice?
Yeah, the Israelites chose to enter this covenant with God.
They did.
They chose to accept the responsibility that came with their freedom.
And we, as inheritors of that legacy, are still dealing with those choices today.
That's a good point. What do you mean?
Well, like, how do we live up to those ideals?
Yeah.
How do we balance our freedom with our responsibilities to others? How do we create a society that shows those core values?
Right.
Justice, compassion, and respect for human life.
These are tough questions.
They are.
Questions that humanity has been wrestling with for centuries.
And it's fascinating to see how this one chapter in Exodus lays the groundwork for these enduring moral dilemmas.
What stands out to you most about this whole experience on the mountain?
Let me think.
I'm really drawn to the image of the cloud and the fire in that long period of isolation.
It seems like it was meant to be a transformative experience.
Right.
Not just for Moses, but for the Israelites as a whole.
Like a symbolic rebirth.
Exactly.
A separation from the old ways.
The past in Egypt.
And the beginning of a new identity.
A new way of being in the world.
It's a powerful metaphor.
It is.
For the kind of change that can happen inside us when we encounter something that challenges how we see things.
Our beliefs.
And who we are.
Yeah, and those 10 Commandments,
yeah.
They're not just rules.
Right.
They're a guide for that transformation.
They give us a framework for living with a higher purpose, a set of principles for building a society that reflects deeper values.
That's a great way to put it.
They're not about restrictions.
No.
But about creating a life.
And a society.
That is in harmony with something greater than ourselves.
Exactly.
It makes me think about how these stories are relevant to us today.
Oh, yeah.
You know, these ancient teachings, how can we as modern listeners connect with these principles in a real way?
That's what's so cool about these stories.
What do you mean?
Their ability to transcend time.
Right.
To speak to us across thousands of years.
So the 10 Commandments are about relationships.
At their core, yes.
Okay, what kind of relationships?
Our relationship with God, with our families, with our neighbors, with ourselves.
So it's not about blindly following rules,
yeah.
but about understanding the ideas behind them.
Right.
And using them in our own lives. In how we interact with the world.
Exactly.
Wow, it's amazing how much we've gotten out of just one chapter.
I know, right? It's packed.
We've looked at the covenant ceremony. We saw a glimpse of God.
We did.
And we talked about that mountaintop meeting.
So mysterious.
It really is a key moment in the Israelite story.
Totally. Their transition from slaves to free people.
Right. From just individuals to a nation.
A nation bound to God through this covenant.
And it all happens with this incredible imagery.
And symbolism.
At the heart of it all. Yeah. Those 10 Commandments.
The Big 10?
We talked about how important they were historically and for society.
Yeah.
But what about for us personally? What can we learn from these ancient principles?
That's what I love about these stories.
What's that?
They're timeless. They speak to us even after thousands of years.
Yeah, the 10 Commandments are really about relationships, right?
At their core, yes.
Our relationship with God, with family,
with neighbors,
with ourselves.
Exactly.
So it's not just about following the rules.
No way.
It's about getting the ideas behind them.
Right.
And how they can guide us.
In our actions, our choices.
And ultimately the kind of world we create.
Exactly. Like take the commandment, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor.
Okay.
It's not just about lying in court.
Right.
It's about honesty, integrity, truth.
In everything we do.
Yeah. In all our interactions.
It's about building trust.
The foundation of any good relationship.
Whether it's personal or as a society.
And that connects back to the covenant itself.
Oh, how so?
The Israelites were making a deal with God.
Yeah.
Based on trust and responsibility.
It makes you think.
It does. What does it mean to have a covenant with something bigger than us?
Yeah. What are our responsibilities in that?
I don't know. But it's worth thinking about.
It makes me think about how we approach our own lives, our communities.
Are we living in a way that honors trust, respect, responsibility?
Are we helping to build a society that shows those values?
Big questions.
They are. But these are the questions we need to consider.
The 10 Commandments and Exodus 24, they give us a framework.
A place to start.
To think about the world we want.
And the people we want to be.
They remind us that we have the power to shape that world.
To make choices that match those values.
It's a journey.
It is.
A process of learning and growing.
And sometimes like Moses.
Yeah.
We need to get out of our comfort zone.
To find something that challenges us.
That makes us grow.
The Exodus story, with all its ups and downs, is really about becoming more than we were.
And that doesn't happen overnight.
It takes courage and commitment.
And a willingness to go into the unknown.
Like Moses going up that mountain.
So as we finish up this deep dive into Exodus 24.
Yeah.
Let's hold on to that sense of possibility.
Keep exploring these old stories.
Keep asking those tough questions.
And try to make a world that shows the best of humanity.
Who knows? Maybe we'll find something divine.
In ourselves and each other.
Thanks for joining us on this journey.
We hope it gave you something to think about.
And inspired you to keep seeking, keep asking.
And keep diving deep